Good evening, and welcome to a brand new edition of Drie Bokke. We've been away a while. It's a little changeover in how we're doing the shows. GMan, I've missed you. How are you, buddy?
Missed you too, Andy. Good to see you again. I've missed that face.
How are you anyway? You keeping well, yeah? Keeping well.
Yeah,
no, it's been a few rocky few months for all of us, but just as a mate, I just want to know that everything's all good, brother.
No, all good. Your side, hope everything's well as well.
Yeah, no, I'm ticking over, mate. Yeah. Mate, we've got a hell of a show tonight. Rainbow Cup. We've got to talk about the Heineken Cup, the Challenge Cup. We've got to talk about the Boks. Are they ready for the Lions? Are they not ready for the Lions? There's loads going on. And we have the president and the vice president, the newly elected president and vice president of SA Def Rugby. So it's going to be massive. Guys, sit back, enjoy, get a beer, and enjoy Drie Bokke.
It's been a while. It's been a while, but I'm coming out of my shell. And I never thought I would fall in love with someone just like you. And nobody here now, I hear you calling out, I hear you calling out for love. And nobody here now, but I hear you calling out, I hear you calling out for love. And I hear you calling.
Man, I love that.
Check out those new titles. Obviously, the first show to use them goes without saying.
There we go.
Right, guys, we've got one of our guests completely ready to go, and the other one is going to join us because he's such a pro that he's hosting a show on his own channel across the way. But we'll introduce him soon. But let me bring straight in a Drie Bokke favourite, a Three Blokes favourite, a legend at Boys High in its way, self-proclaimed legend at Pile Boys High, not for rugby, but I think probably for his off-the-field antics. It is the brand new president of SA Def Rugby, is Mr. Renan Stennekamp.
Hi, Andy. Hi, Gareth. Thanks for the sweet words. But let me just give you a sobering thought here as we were speaking off air just now. You know, if I've got eyes on me now. If you make a mistake now, then I'm in trouble. So that's the harsh reality of it.
No pressure, no pressure at all.
No pressure at all. But listen, thanks for having me. I appreciate it a lot. And looking forward to a good show.
You used to have 3 empty bottles of Branavane behind you when you came on this show, and now you're acting all professional. You're all acting professional. Right, let's get straight to G-Man. G-Man, start us off here. We know there's been loads going on in SA Rugby recently, on and off the field, but Rainbow Cup. It was never going to happen, was it? Absolute disaster. Talk us through it, mate. How are you feeling about this?
I'm two ways about it. I'm probably going to be the devil's advocate here. Joe said it actually at the start of the whole talk of this, that he didn't think it will ever happen. There's not enough time. I, for one, am gutted that it hasn't happened because I think it would have been a good opportunity for these provincial or the Springbok teams within the squad to at least have some form of international experience or exposures against the guys like in Munster or Scarlets. I mean, it just would have given them a good boost, something different, something to really give them something different. Because right now we've played Preparation Cup, we played Curry Cup, and we played Super Rugby Unlocked. All three of the same things, nothing different, nothing exciting. And I think the Rainbow Cup would have just boosted us a bit in a way that's a bit different because we haven't played any form of rugby, which the world loves to remind us about, especially when we talk about world rankings, since the 2019 Rugby World Cup. And I'm fearing this Lions tour because I don't think a lot of people realize how damn strong this team is going to be. They've just played, and that's the scary thing again, to take into account why the Rainbow Cup for me was important, is the Six Nations teams or the Lions teams have played 3 international tournaments. Six Nations last year, obviously postponed, then still had it. Autumn Nations Cup, and now they've just finished. What has South Africa done? 3 provincial tournaments. They weren't really up in the top books. Some were great, some weren't. But I just feel we're lacking something here, and it's making me nervous. I feel more could have been done. We can send our cricket players over to other countries to go play overseas. We can't send our rugby players. A little bit confused there. I know the UK was strict on rules and all that. But for me, as soon as this tournament was announced, something should have been done or put in place to get things around. And it wasn't. So I'm disappointed, but I'm excited for the SA version. I think it's going to be intense. I think the boys are training hard, and they're going to be wanting to prove the critics wrong, especially overseas who are slating us right now, thinking we're scared to play. So I just hope we put on a good show and play quality, successful, determined, and typical South African rugby.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's plenty of South Africans playing very well abroad, but there's something about playing at home. Renan, with this Rainbow Cup, let's just talk about the 4 franchises playing. If you're Jacques Nienaber or Rassie or whatever, are you trying to push Jake White and the likes of Dobson to play a certain way that would potentially help the Boks for the Lions tour? Or are you more looking inside yourself and going, actually, with the Bulls, with the Stormers, we're going to do what we want to do?
Unfortunately, this is South Africa, and we're very stubborn people, especially the rugby, the rugby culture, we're very stubborn. And I don't think there's any way that you'll have a system where you got a universal kind of thing with the teams, everybody serving the box and playing a similar game and all that, because that's what you're on here. No, it won't. And furthermore to that, we've got a pretty large number of players playing in Europe, playing overseas, where those clubs play their own game anyway. So no, I don't think that's a workable idea. But I'm worried, Andy. I'm worried, Gareth, because Gareth, you just said people don't realize how strong this Lions team is. It is scary. It's not like you've got a very strong Wales team coming here for 3 test matches and you can somehow figure out a way to neutralize them up front and play a 10-man game and somehow win the series. That's obviously now just theoretical. But no, these guys, and remember, they lost the series last time they were here. Their last series that they played against the All Blacks, they drew, and now they're up here. These guys are so hungry for a win. They will bust themselves to win the series. The Boks, the question on whether the Boks will be undercooked, I can only think that they will be. But we have now seen, I suppose he's very capable of improvising and thinking on his feet and making things happen against the odds. So let's give him, well, he's not the coach anymore, but he's still the director of rugby. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt here. And let's say the Boks will not be undercooked. They will lack match time now. And that could bite them. Yeah?
Do you guys not think we could have done something maybe a little bit different with regards to the Rainbow Cup? I read Angus's article the other day on Rugby 365 saying, why not have a try Springbok series? So you got the youngsters versus this current type Springbok team versus the overseas Springboks who have currently had some sort of experience. I think that was an absolutely genius idea because it would have tested each form of player, and from there, Rassie could have selected something. You could have also done a Lions-based type SA thing. Springbok squad, that's the team going to the Lions. Then you play the provincial teams. That way, you're boosting our provinces and the invitational sides and all that, as well as the Springboks are then playing together. Right now, these guys haven't played together for almost 2 years. So that is one of my concerns.
Yeah, and I think also one of the concerns would probably be that you've got certain players in Europe that are in complete form. Damien Dillon, they're playing incredibly well. Fast finding a bit of form. And then they're going to train with players that are potentially undercooked. So that you're then going to have the potential, Renan, in training, and you know this from like backline moves and everything like that. These things are so precise. They need to be so precise. So if Diolende's running a line or Faf's running across to start a move and someone's half a yard off the pace, all of a sudden you go from a professional outfit to very amateur very quickly, hey?
Yeah, it's going to cost you your momentum. Because you build up phases and then you decide, right, we're going to execute now you run a play. And like you say, you've got a player who's like half a yard off the pace. and boof, there goes the ball. I mean, work, building up, and then you squander. Not saying that will happen, but there is a case to be made for it. Now, I'm a tad worried about this. I don't know what they're going to do about it because we're running out of time as well. Gareth mentioned earlier about the cricketers who can go overseas, but the rugby players can't. You know, the not age-old argument, but the argument that is getting old now about the Tri-Nations last year back down in Australia, where Argentina went, they were as undercooked as the Boks.
Exactly.
And they actually won games. And they won well.
For Pete's sake.
They did. They beat the
that
Wallabies.
For me, I'm sorry, that's
in
not
Australia.
good enough.
You know, a team that's able to beat the Wallabies in Australia, it's all class. Okay, and the Boks have class players; they could have done it, but okay, that's now behind us. We can't change the past.
But they're still reminding us about it every single freaking time we talk.
They are. We're not playing any games.
Rugby rankings. We're not playing. We're too scared.
We're not playing any games to refute that.
Exactly. So for me, I'm still frustrated for the Rugby Championship. But as you say, Renan, it's in the past. It's now time to focus in the future, and hopefully this Rainbow Cup can bring us some excitement, something different. Because I enjoyed Currie Cup, and I actually enjoyed the Preparations Cup. I didn't quite get the hang of Super Rugby Unlocked. I find it very boring. Whereas I want this Rainbow Cup, and I hope, and I'm sure these guys are going to. If I look at what the Sharks have selected, it's a very strong team. I hope these teams go in and knock each other, not to an injury point, but just show us what they can play and surprise us.
But
sorry, Andy, I just wanted to comment there. The difference between the approach here in South Africa and overseas is actually quite stark. You know, you look at the teams that Connacht and Ulster picked for their match last weekend. It was very much a combination of an A and B team kind of thing, and it made for some entertaining rugby. But they rested players for the Challenge Cup. Ulster did. They rested players for the Challenge Cup semi-final coming up actually tomorrow evening, where the South African teams are going hammer and tongs. It's war. So there's quite a stark difference in approach between the two. You know, it's like the North Pole and the South Pole. Yeah, but I like it. You know, it's why we play the games. Go full on. I mean, don't hold back.
Exactly.
So it's something to look forward to.
I actually think this might be a broader discussion, but we're going full circle and then we're dropping back like 20 years. And like, I just want to pick up on something GMan said there. He's like, yeah, Super Rugby did nothing for him, but the Currie Cup and the Preparation Cup did. Australian club rugby, franchise rugby, is all of a sudden back on the map a little bit.
There's
some good games, and we know how good the New Zealand Super Rugby, the Aotearoa, is going as well. And I have to say, and I'm not going to be that bloke who said, I said this from the beginning, we needed to go back to basics with our rugby, and it's just shown how imperative it is for me to have strong domestic competitions, and then you can create the massive events after that. You could create South Africa versus Australia winner versus the New Zealand winner versus the Heineken Cup winner. Okay, right? I'm talking like, we know that's not going to happen because of where the South African forces are going. In rugby, they have the World Club Challenge. It's huge. It's massive. It's once a year, but it's quite interesting that people have now gone back to their domestic game, which is what we all want. Yeah. Let's be frank about it. I want the Bulls versus Stormers to be a huge game, not just one of the Super Rugby games. But Renan, for you, how do you feel about this? Do you feel that we're going full circle, and do you want the domestic game to sort of take over from where Super Rugby has left us from before COVID?
Oh, I'd love that. You know, that's I'm a very old school kind of person, and that fits right into that. And also, I wanted to just mention the producer of the show, Joe Shepard. He actually mentioned this a while back when he said the approach here by every country should be local first, then global. Meaning you regroup on home soil first, play a couple of games, get 2-3 series under the belt, and then see, okay, can we travel? Yes or no? Yes, okay, we can travel. Who are we going to play next? Which is where I think this Rainbow Cup, the guys have jumped gun here. They abruptly ended with what was then the Pro 14, became the Pro 12 because the Cheetahs and Kings couldn't go anymore because of COVID. Then they decided on this Rainbow Cup, which is effectively an off-season thing for them because it's becoming summer there now. They just stopped the Pro 14 just like that. They just lessened the fixtures and they had the two top teams playing a final. No extended playoffs giving a guy in a quarterfinal a shot at it. Sorry, you're out. It's finished. So that was a bit amateurish for me. Only for this to now still not happen because you've got the South African teams playing each other here, those guys playing each other there, and there's no cross-hemisphere games. So that was a bit amateurish. I'm a bit disappointed in that. They should have applied their minds. It's easy to say that now, but they should have. They should have applied their minds and said, listen, can we have this thing? What are the odds of the guys being able to travel? Second wave was being predicted, and then it happened. So yeah, I don't know. Now they're talking about the what will now be the Pro 16 kicking off in September. September is around the corner. I mean, you blink your eyes and you're there. And is it going to happen then? I don't want to be the negative guy here, but we must be realistic. I mean, if the South African teams can't fly to the UK now, I can see no reason why they will suddenly be able to fly in September. And those guys are too scared to come here with good reason. The variant of the virus that we have here is a dangerous one. So, health concerns, I fully get that. As well, scared is the wrong word. They would rather play it safe and not come here and not expose themselves to that. And I totally buy into that. Which, again, makes the beginning, the odds of the competition beginning on time. I don't know. I don't see it happen. I see us playing many more of these local games for the foreseeable future before we will begin to play other teams.
Well, speaking of local, we heard yesterday in the news that the Champions Cup is inclusion of looms for the SA's big four rugby teams, which, again, like you say, Renan, there's so much going on with whether or not we're going to get to the Pro 14. And now we're looking at possibly joining the Champions Cup from next season. I think there's going to be a lot of mixed opinions on that. Because firstly, how the hell could South Africa could just come in and then go into the Champions Cup when, these guys have to work hard and qualify, and we haven't even faced any European squad. I could tend to agree with both. I think it will be phenomenal if we can get into the Champions Cup, and I think it will be a great experience for these provincial teams, and we will learn a lot. But I think there's going to be a lot of drama caused with how can this team just come in? They haven't played international rugby for the past months, but all of a sudden they get an opportunity for the Champions Cup. I mean, the Champions Cup, the Heineken Cup, is so important to so many people over there in Europe. And if their team gets ruled out because of SA, there's going to be a lot of hatred towards South African, negativity created in the sport. And it's just, we're already in the firing line because we haven't played much. Now we're going to get thrown into the Champions Cup, which I'm happy about, but I can understand. If I was a Shark supporter and all of a sudden my team's getting kicked out because of Leinster coming in, I'll also be a bit angry. What's your guys' thoughts on that process of the Champions Cup for South Africa already now talking without even qualifying?
Yeah, well, if I can answer this, I'd like to see that happen first. The way I have it, the Champions Cup board, the board of the Champions Cup, they are represented by country, and for any major change to be effected in either the Champions and or Challenge Cup, they need a unanimous decision. Okay. Now England, those guys, you're talking your Harlequins and your Saracens. Well, they're playing Championship, but they'll be back soon. Those guys, I cannot see them vote in favor of this. They've in the past been extremely wary of any change. They've got a winning formula. That's been their argument ever since. Why change it? It's not broken. Why try and fix it? So I'm also not sure that the French will vote this in. I think I don't know. The financial advantage for those countries will need to be huge for them to take this plunge. And like you said, the South African teams haven't even qualified. If you look at the Cheetahs, and I'm not gonna, I can keep you busy on this, but I'm not. We played in Pro 14 now for 3 years. We were never even offered the opportunity to qualify for either the Champions or Challenge Cup. And now these blue-eyed, flippin' spoiled brats come in, and their road is paved. Please come play in Europe. Come play Stade Francais in Paris. I mean, that's not fair. Now, okay, let me take off my Cheetahs jersey now again. It's still not fair. It's still not fair because they haven't qualified. Qualified first. If they qualify by means of lock position, if the Bulls qualify, and specifically mention them because they probably will be able to qualify for the Heineken Champions Cup, then good on them. Let them play.
Yes.
But walk that road first and get there.
Yeah, I think the thing you've got to remember here is that European rugby, generally speaking, has been based on earning the right to play in a competition. Yes. It's why there's relegation in the Premiership. There isn't this year, and I actually agree with the ring fencing for this year because certain teams have got points because of other teams having COVID, which then, if you're in a relegation battle and London Irish sorry, I'm not picking on London Irish, Worcester, whoever, have picked up 4 points against Exeter because Exeter, so I get it. But generally speaking, the French, when the Welsh leagues were really strong, when there was some competitiveness up in Scotland, you earned the right to be in that top division, and then you earned the right by qualifying for the Heineken Cup, and that's what puts the Heineken Cup on the pedestal that it's on, and why it's survived as long as it has, as strong as it has, because the one time they tried to change it and take Heineken away from it and take it all in-house and call it the ERCC or whatever, it fell flat on its arse. So another example of people trying to change a competition that they don't need to change because I don't know, it's like a millennial mindset. It's kind of like, we've got to change it, we've got to keep moving forward. Don't fix what isn't broke. So from my side of things, if the South African contingent are going to come across, which is going to happen, obviously, that's because we just had we should be having a Rainbow Cup. They need to earn the right to qualify. If they decide all of a sudden to say, well, no, actually, there's 2 spots, because if you remember rightly, they used to give Italy a spot. So you'd have like 11th and 12th in the league would be Treviso and Zebra. Yes. But like Treviso would get into the Heineken Cup because they were the top Italian team. They've obviously sorted that out now. But you'd have people finishing 6th in the league, but they were the 3rd Irish team, so they couldn't qualify for Heineken Cup. So what you need is proper qualification to get in it. If they were to just be gifted 2 spots in that and 2 spots in the Challenge Cup, that then begs the question. And when Shark joins us, he'll probably say, "Well, the Bulls are Currie Cup champions, so they should go straight into it." But that's not right. And I completely agree with what Reenan's saying. You've got to walk that road before you can be putting that. I mean, I've seen some coverage that. Sorry, mate. So I've just seen some coverage today that Cardiff Blues have lost their shit over this because of the rumours going on about. And you know what? We know the Welsh like a little whinge, but it's not often I agree with them. They should have a little whine about it, because you can't all of a sudden say, well, they're a big franchise. Have you seen where they played for? Have you seen what they've won? They're allowed to go in. Like, no, absolutely not.
Exactly, and I mean that's the thing. Yes, you can say Bulls have won the Currie Cup and Super Rugby Unlocked, but when last did they win the actual original Super Rugby Cup when we're playing against the bigger teams like the New Zealand teams? Can we really judge an SA equivalent when we haven't really played properly and just throw them in? To me, Currie Cup's not. It's legendary tournament. Don't get me wrong, and it's brilliant, but to be thrown into something what we haven't even had experience in. It's just going to cause chaos, and the biggest joke is going to be if we get smashed, and that's the thing. It's just we're going to be a laughing stock at the end of the day. So for me, leave South Africa, Do your normal Heineken Cup. Let us play in this Rainbow Cup or Pro 14, whatever the hell we're going to get to eventually, and then make your judgments. Don't throw us into anything yet, because if Cardiff are throwing their toys out already, everyone else is going to throw their toys out shortly behind, because we're already unpopular right now.
Look, I want to just mention two things here. Andy, it's telling that you mentioned the Cardiff Blues now, because when Gareth spoke about the Benetton and the Zebra that were guaranteed a spot in what was then called the Heineken Cup, it was the Cardiff Blues that were on the bubble each and every year and missed out. So they've got a history on this. And now again, it looks like history can repeat itself. I would also throw my toys out of the Cardiff. The other point that I just wanted to mention here is the conditions in Europe is frightening. These guys got no idea what's waiting for them. They are going to have a rude awakening. You go play the Glasgow Warriors at Scotstoun in February. It's hell. It's hell. I'm telling you. I spoke to Clayton Blommetjies after one of our games there. He said it's so cold that you cannot speak to the guy next to you, because when you open your mouth and your jaw moves, it's too sore. So you can't speak. It's too cold. Now explain that to a Lions supporter who stays in Joburg, where in summer it's 35 degrees. Guys get on the plane, they get off there, it's 1 degree centigrade.
And even our winter isn't that hard.
No, not at all.
Sarah Pretoria said the same thing to us on radio about 2 years ago. He says how much he had to learn just from playing from Cheetahland to Europe was just insane, because he went from Cheetahs to Australia, which is hot as hell. Then he had to adapt to overseas. And he said that probably helped his career develop even more. Mitra Katakila said the same thing. A lot of the Kings boys said the amount that they've learned from that cold, but it took them such a long time to get used to it that it's just like a shock. You're so used to the coastal sun and the nice weather, and there's a little breeze, but there's nothing like a snow or cold training sessions.
The wind in Galway. And now they want to chuck these guys into a Champions Cup.
Anywhere in Ireland.
Yes. Now you want to chuck these guys into a Champions Cup situation where they need to go play at the Stoop, at a howling wind, or at Montpellier, where that wind that comes in from the Mediterranean. Some call it mild, but I've spoken to a couple of players there. Once that wind gets hold of you, you know about it. So it's tough. It's tough. Go play La Rochelle. It's not easy, man. Clermont is such a difficult place to go and play there. You can't chuck these guys, and they need to earn their stripes before they can go there. Really,
and that's the other thing. They're going to be so undercooked with having a partisan crowd. Can you imagine being at Ravenhill on a Friday night and you've got a Quigley or a Topping shouting at you, and you don't understand a word they're saying, and it's freezing cold, and you've got a crowd on top of you, especially.
That's another thing, the intimidation of the crowd.
I've watched down in Toulon, unbelievable place to go and watch rugby, but it is a completely different mindset down there, and it should be interesting. But I just hope they do it in the right way.
Agreed.
But the one thing that is happening in the Northern Hemisphere, though, and it's generally over the last 5 to 10 years, is that we are finding individual South African players can really thrive in the environment. We're seeing, a huge Francois Lowe fan. We're seeing the Hugard scored a hat-trick at a weekend, but that's not the first time he's done it. Cobus Reinachers, Damien Dialende is probably playing the best rugby of his career. He sat Jordan Lama down at the weekend. So it begs the question, I think GMan said it earlier, internationally, are the Boks ready for the Lions, and will they rue not going down to that championship next year? And I know everyone talks about it. I actually said at the time I couldn't believe they weren't going. I thought that they were more worried about damaged reputation as world champions rather than looking at the bigger picture. For me personally, I would have encouraged them to go, or you pin your colours to the mast and say, we're going down there with a young team. This is our chance to do some development during this whole thing.
Yes.
The boys already played. They're burnt out. We're going down there. But GMan, you've got quite a strong opinion on this. Are you genuinely worried that this Lions tour, the Boks, could get blown away?
I'm, to be honest, I am actually quite petrified of this because of the international exposure and experience these guys have been playing right now. And I mean, the level K6 Nations, it wasn't the greatest time, and we can moan about the referees, but the boys have been playing international rugby for the past year and a half. South Africa's played nowhere. So already these guys are getting prepped and built and motivated and encouraged and forming some sort of camaraderie, even though they're not even together. They're at least bringing something. And so that makes me worried. Do I think we can beat the Lions? Definitely. Like you said, there are South Africans playing overseas who are currently in great form, and they can assist us in going there. But I am nervous about the boys who are locally playing here. I feel they haven't had enough exposure to the international field, to different types of how guys can play. And like Renan said earlier, Rassie is a genius. Jacques is his sidekick. They will have had a plan and a game plan, but I still feel we could have done more for the Springboks to at least get some sort of camaraderie while we're waiting right now for this tournament to go. So to answer your question, I'm nervous. I'm very worried, but I do feel we can do it. But I do see a 2-1 happening. I'm not going to say who, but we will get somewhere in it. But I am nervous of this Lions team. These boys are coming to kill.
I'm gonna introduce our second guest very quickly, and we're gonna get into jump. As is fine for being late, I'm gonna hit him with a very difficult question. Right, the newly voted vice president of SA Def Rugby, the right-hand man, as you said, to Renan now. Please welcome the owner of the Yellow Cap Sports, big friend of the show, got his own Afrikaans show going, which is absolutely amazing. Released the new look of that this evening. It is Mr. Jacques Henning. How are you, sir?
Hey guys, sorry for being late, man. My humblest apologies, but thanks for waiting.
You and BJ Butter just having too much fun, bud.
Oh, geez, he doesn't want to stop talking. So yeah, it's they're actually still going on. I told them, listen, guys, I'm gonna leave. There's some other guys that want to talk to me as well. So yeah. Quite a busy night, but thanks so much for waiting. I really apologize.
Oh, mate, no worries. You're fine for being late, so we're going to give you a very difficult question. We are debating whether the Springboks should have gone and played in the Rugby Championship this year. But my question to you is, how much of the Springboks' success this year against the Lions, potentially, is going to be down to players that are overseas rather than in South Africa?
My personal opinion is I think it's going to play a huge role. They are, for me, I actually mentioned it in one of our shows last week, that I think that obviously, well, not that I think, I know that the guys in Europe and playing abroad, basically, they are in form. They've got much more game time. And so they are going to be, I almost want to call it the core of the Boks. We're going to have to, the guys that are locally based are going to have to kind of like fit in around them and, just contribute whatever they can. But that's going to be the strength of our team, is the guys basically being based abroad. That's my opinion. I don't see it any other way because they've just got so much more game time behind them.
Absolutely. For you, Renan?
No, I have to agree with Jacques. He actually answered that question very well. You should have given him a more difficult question, Andy. I'm disappointed. No, look, I agree with Jacques. If you look at the kind of game that Faf is playing, that Damien de Allende is playing, the game is life, man. You've got your Chess and Colby. Those guys will form the nucleus of your Boks team. And if you can bring them here and they can stay injury-free between now and the Test series, they will be your kingpins. That's just a fact. They will. Those will be the guys that we'll be looking at. And I have confidence in them. They match fit. They inform. That's what you want. But I just want to add a small asterisk to that. Gareth, you spoke about the form of the players overseas versus the guys here. The other international teams have played as a team. You cannot just look at the individuals. You have to look at the teams. And those guys have, like you said, they've had 2 Six Nations and an All-Blue Cup series. So those teams have progressed. Look at Scotland, look at France. They've progressed. Okay, France not part of this equation, but I'm mentioning them. Look at Scotland. Scotland have progressed. Wales have progressed exponentially. The Boks have been static as a team, in a team setup. There's nothing been happening. Reasons we're not going to repeat now. But that's what worries me. If you take the Lions now, and you've got Welsh players who will be confident. You've got Scottish players who will be confident. You've got Irish players who've actually picked up a bit of speed now. Only the English players will have question marks. The other guys will be confident and have momentum, which means the Lions will have momentum. The Boks will lack momentum. They'll have to start from scratch. I'm worried. I'm worried about that.
Just to jump back to Jacques, are you at the time, were you annoyed that they didn't go and play in the Rugby Championship last year? Yes or no? But has your opinion on that changed since?
You're muted.
I think you've muted yourself there, pal.
Sorry.
There we go.
So at the time, I wasn't for them to go. But thinking back because of
potential damage, what was the reasons for that? Was that a damaged reputation thing, or did you just genuinely think they wouldn't?
Yeah, it was partly that. I don't think the whole thing of having to be in quarantine and your overseas, because the Boks have a lot of overseas-based players. It was a culmination of things that just wouldn't have worked out for us, which would have ultimately damaged the reputation, world rankings. Yes, and I know at some stage they said they wouldn't. They won't touch the world rankings, and the World Cup draw was eventually held based on the world rankings as of what was it, the 1st of January 2020, something like that. So when those kind of things suddenly came out, then it was almost like, well, it wouldn't have mattered really. But at that stage, for me, it was like a no-brainer not to go. But now, like a month or two ago, I would say rather about a month ago, I just started looking at things a bit differently and saying, but when question marks were starting to hang over the Rainbow Cup, the rumors started coming up that it's not going to happen anymore and what. It was suddenly a realization of, but guys, we are running out of time with the British and Irish Lions tour literally on our front doors. The Boks haven't played for as long as it took Rassie to prepare them for the World Cup, basically. It's almost gone in reverse gear. So now you started suddenly wondering, but also the reason for thinking that is the financial impact that it's starting to have. Because, I've spoken to guys, and, if they didn't work things out, in regards to the Rainbow Cup happening the way it is happening now, like at one stage it was completely off, it would have been so damaging that South African rugby would have seen more pay cuts, similar to what we saw during lockdown, and that would have been completely damaging. Never mind whatever else was in the pipeline for that matter. But thankfully they could salvage something with this Rainbow Cup. South African teams playing against each other, 5.0, whatever you want to call it. And they've, some money has been salvaged. To be honest, to answer your question in short, yes, I think they should have probably gone.
I think after what we saw Argentina do, and Rena said it earlier as well. I was also for it, thinking, let's just stay, let's rather be calm. We'll probably have November internationals, good things will come. But as soon as Argentina beat the All Blacks, I thought, geez, we made the biggest mistake ever. We could have at least had some sort of experience. Not because I'm saying we would have beaten the All Blacks, but just because if Argentina could do it, they are low in rankings, they are in a worse state than us at the time. We could have at least done something. And I just feel we would have had more experience, more preparation for this tournament. We just don't have anything right now. And Renan, you made a point earlier. It's like talking about traveling with the players. Is there any actual confirmation or talk that these SA boykies overseas can actually travel down in units together to formulate a Springbok squad from these guys, or will there be restrictions from the UK letting guys out back in? Because now these clubs could have a say in saying, well, if they're going to come back, we're not going to let them go. I didn't think of that until you started talking earlier. Is there any rule behind the SA boys going out to come back in?
No, the way I have it, the South African guys can come home anytime. I mean, it's repatriation flight. You cannot be denied going to your own country. However, going back, like I said earlier, the UK is taking the South African variant of the virus extremely serious. And they may well say, listen, Faf de Klerk, you're not coming back. Diamond Alenda, we're not going to take risk on you.
Or could they even say, we're not going to let you go?
No, I don't think they can say that, Gareth, because you've got your test window, and I think the buck stops there. But
we've seen clubs call authority over certain things before. But
yes,
I get you.
Yes, but you saying, the French, yeah. But what you saying about those players going back, I also haven't thought about that. That could well be a thorn in the side. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, you got me thinking here now.
Because these guys are earning big money overseas. Are they going to be wanting to come back to South Africa? Oh, cheapers, now we have to play for the Bulls or the Lions or the Sharks.
Hey, what's wrong with the Bulls?
Province. That was just for you. But any of these SA teams to go back down, opposed to earning pounds and stuff over in the UK, it's a big difference, and they could question whether they want to actually go or not. For a Lions tour that's not going to have any crowds, are they going to get the same salary that they were originally promised? There's a lot of question marks that I've only really just thought of now since we've spoken tonight.
You look at a guy like Jason Colby. He's on a massive contract in France. That guy's paid serious money.
Exactly.
The French are extremely worried about the virus, not only here but in their own country. They're on a strict lockdown. The president Macron very recently upped the ante there with regards to regulations with COVID, and I can't see that guy come here. Now that you're mentioning it, Gareth, you're going to cost me sleep tonight now. I can't see these. I don't know. This is worrying me now. You made me think here. It's going to be very interesting to see what the approach is going to be. Really.
Let's be honest. The French fucking hate releasing their players.
Exactly.
Oh my word.
Yeah, they hate.
Isn't Paul also French? Yeah.
But just as we're talking about players, I'm just going to throw someone out there now. If these players hypothetically can't come back, give me a player in South Africa at the moment that could be a real bolter for the Boks squad and come on and do it. I'm thinking like a Fassi. I think Fassi will be in the squad anyway, but someone like that who could actually be given their chance and actually become a bit of a world star against the Lions. Jacques, anyone?
You want Statement Hans?
In fact, I'm going to, Jacques, because you're late, another fine. It can't be a blue bull. No, I'm joking.
Here goes my first answer.
Go on, go for it now. Go for it. I'm joking.
No. Look, let's just say hypothetically, Damien Dalenda is not allowed to come. For some obscure reason, the Brits come up with any stupid reason to try and ankle tap the Boks, as we've seen, and then maybe a guy like Cornel Hendricks that suddenly hasn't been interviewed in these whatever they call these little camps that they've had. He's not even in the equation at the moment, but suddenly a guy like him could maybe come to the fore. You never know. It's a good question actually. To suddenly think of names that are not in the mix that can be in the mix. That Stedman Gans won't be in the mix because his injury is too long. So I don't think he'll be in the mix, unfortunately. But yeah, that would have, if he wasn't injured, you never know. He could have been on the cards as well. So I'm just trying to think of other guys. But yeah, that's off the cuff. My first name, I would have said.
That's another thing that frustrates me. Going back to what could have happened last year is we could have actually sent a very young Springbok squad. I know they would have been inexperienced. They could have probably got a hiding, but what those boys could have learned playing against the All Blacks or the Australians or Argentina would have been such a big motivation for these guys coming back into provincial rugby, and we would have seen we would be sitting here more comfortable right now Because currently we're not.
Gareth,
I think that could have done something.
but Gareth, we've done this before. Jake White, before the 2007 World Cup, sent a distinct B team.
Rassie did it too.
He sent them down to Australia, New Zealand, and they got smashed. And then he still went on and won the World Cup. So we have done this before. We have sent.
Rassie did that before the World Cup. He sent 2 teams to Australia, New Zealand, and 2 teams to South Africa. The South African teams did so well, and that was the birth of Yankees. And look at where that went. We could have done the same thing, but anyway, the past is the past. I'm going to get irritated now.
What under the British?
And Clive Woodward did the same to England in 2000. I can't remember when I went to Australia, the Tour of Hell, as we called it. Johnny Wilkinson, Mike Tyndall, all of those boys were on that tour and learned more. You learn more in defeat than you do in victory. But
you do.
The real reason that we've got these 2 fine gentlemen on this evening is, firstly, gents, congratulations on your recent appointments.
Well done.
So, Reenan, I'm going to start with you. How has this come about? How have you got involved with SA Deaf Rugby? And how have you become the president of SA Deaf Rugby? Out of nowhere, where's the connection? How's it come about? Tell us about it. And please give us a bit of a background on SA Deaf Rugby.
Andrew, in 2014, this actually is off the cuff, I was on Twitter this one day, and there's one guy called Mark Barnard. He's still a player. This guy was voicing his frustration with regards to communicating. They were looking for a sponsorship or something. I can't remember. They were trying to arrange something, and the people wouldn't listen to them. For some reason, they didn't get attention. So I actually replied to the guy and said, "Listen, I can hear. Well, my one ear is deaf, but I can properly communicate with anybody." And I said, "Listen, I can help you guys. Just let me know who you want to speak to. What should I tell them? That kind of thing." So I became involved, and then they wanted, asked me, will I be vice president? And then they held an election, and I was elected vice president, and I also doubled as a selector. We had Charles in Pretoria, and then selected a full squad. We then in 2015 played 2 games here against the then world champions Wales. But then at that time, I felt that the guys that were there at the stage could do a better job than me, or a more complete job than me, rather. So I didn't make myself available for re-election. And in hindsight, that was a good thing, because the guy since deceased, Dean Almeida, who took over the vice presidency from me and then became president later, did a sterling job. We'll talk later about the Stones Cup, which is the local competition. But he did an extremely large amount of work to make the Stones Cup happen. And then they approached me, Tim Stones, the erstwhile president and founder, actually. He approached me a couple of weeks ago and said, "Listen, I want to make myself available for president." So I discussed it with my wife and said, "Listen, this thing has grown since, they've since built a competition, and there's much more to it than there was when I was involved. So it's a big thing now. It wasn't as big back then, but now it is." Sorry. So I discussed it with my wife, and we decided I'll make myself available. And then for some reason, I don't know why, the other people that made themselves available for the presidency all withdrew. So I stood unopposed. And then Jacques was elected as vice president, which I'm actually very excited about, because, just from, you mentioned it earlier, his Afrikaans talk show, the way that he's made a success of that, I can see the same thing happen here. So I'm actually very excited about it. We've got a daunting task ahead of us, to put these guys on the map. For the last couple of years, there hasn't been much happening, but we're changing that. We've got a professional approach, and we're going to land a sponsorship soon, which means once there's money, there's more to it. Then you can start having training camps. You can start having proper trials. We can approach serious coaches, have the guys properly coached, give them proper gear, all that kind of thing. So we're building now. It's early days. We're building, getting structures in place. But once this bus starts rolling and it gets momentum, then it's gonna be fun, because then we're gonna reap rewards from this. So in short, that's your background to where we are at this stage.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I see the structures already in place to a degree, which is like, I've seen pictures of the Blue Bulls. They've got a team. There's a Western Thunder, I believe, and stuff like that. But Shark, have you, other than obviously knowing Renan through shows and the amazing rugby sort of community that we're all trying to build, has come from this. But what's excited you most about getting involved with this? And sort of, I suppose, why did you get involved with it? I suppose, and I don't mean that as any sort of derogatory question at all, because it's Deaf Rugby. I'm just saying it's not in the mainstream, and we're all fine to try and get in the mainstream, but sometimes these projects are way more rewarding.
Yeah. So funny enough, Mark Barnard was my first connection with Deaf Rugby a few years ago, also via Twitter, but never ever had I imagined myself in this role or any kind of role, like on a board or a committee or some sort, like I am now. And anyway, a few weeks ago, I got approached, amongst people was Mark and Rhiannon, and said, listen, would you be keen? And like Rhiannon just explained now, having interaction on my show, even on your show, I think that's where we kind of met. First of all, was via the Drie Bokke, and anyway, ultimately when I started the show, Renan also became part of our family on that show, and he approached me, and I thought, no, this guy is crazy. What is he talking about? And my first words was him, but how can I do this? I'm not even deaf. And basically, in short, it was a matter of, but it's not about being deaf. It's about trying to help these guys. And not many people will know this, but I was actually born with a disability. I'll try and show, but I can't straighten my arms. But anyway, that's the best I can show you. So in a way, it was kind of like, as you just said, when I started thinking about it and I spoke to my wife, it was just like, but it's an opportunity to kind of give back in a way that I probably never ever thought of. And so, and when the day came, when they did, when the voting was done, it was quite a shock to the system. When the results was mentioned, then I remember sitting here. It was like a Zoom meeting kind of thing that they did, and I just put the thing on mute and I told my wife, I don't know whether I should laugh or cry, but the realization had kicked in that this is actually happening, and it's now C for serious. And it took me about 24 hours to realize that, this is something I need to take on with both hands. And my approach at this stage is basically awareness. That's the biggest thing I'm looking at. Renan, as president, is running a lot of stuff behind the scenes. I actually feel bad some of the days because I think it was on I can't remember, Monday the guys went, we've got a WhatsApp group, and by the time I was working on Monday, and by the time I could actually get to reading what was on, there was already 118 messages that I had to work through. But it was the nice thing, the one thing that I want to say is that within literally a week of being appointed, president and vice president, the whole vibe with the other four members, you could see immediately, from what I've heard and stuff, the guys are just so positive and excited about what has already been discussed, and yet there's so much more to be discussed, So we've got like Renan said, it's a very, very daunting project that I think both him and I are involved in. But I think for me, it's literally, I think my passion for rugby obviously comes first, but then just this opportunity to be able to help someone, it's hard to explain, but like I said, I'm not deaf. I can't really claim anything towards this, but my outlook is just I might not be deaf and I might not be able to do sign language and stuff, but I could hear the things that they can't hear and convey it, and vice versa. So almost become a voice for them, or ear for them, whichever way you want to look at it. So I'm very excited, but I know it's a daunting it's a very daunting prospect, but I'm excited.
I don't think many people actually understand how important this is to people with a disability. I mean, Jacques, you said that you have one, I have one. For a person with a disability to be able to have the opportunity to play a sport that they've dreamed of playing, and constantly you reach a barrier in life where you actually are told you can't. The fact that there's an opportunity for a person with a disability or person who's deaf to have the opportunity to play rugby, firstly, is amazing. And credit to you two for taking on this opportunity and this task, because the lives you are going to change going forward is going to be unbloody real. You're giving an opportunity for a person who might be suffering from depression or mental illness the opportunity to go and play sport, to go and play their dream, to watch their heroes on TV, even though they can't hear them. They are watching them. They can now go and live that dream. And the fact that this is growing and getting bigger and needs to be talked about and dealt with more, because more opportunities like this can help so many people around the world who are going through so many tough times. Mandela said it, sport is the power to change the world. And what you guys are doing, building up this deaf rugby community, is absolutely outstanding. I know what it's like to be turned down. I was told I could never play sport because of my size. It's heartbreaking. But now these types of tournaments or these types of events give these guys who were turned down in school the opportunity to go and show their worth, to go and show their talent. Because unfortunately in the world we live in, just because you have a disability, you're automatically judged and you're thrown away of the opportunity of playing a sport. They don't even know the guy can pass better than Joost van der Vestes, and all we know, or can kick better than Morné Steyn, or run quicker than Brian Amana. They can do it. Now this is the opportunity for these guys to shine and take over the bloody world. And I couldn't be more prouder to know you two, but also prouder to see that disability in sport is taking a rise and is rising to so many more people. And I hope to God that more sporting codes do this, because it's going to change worlds. It's going to save lives, and it's going to inspire so many more people out there. And man alive, I'm excited. Go for it, boys. Take it out the park.
If I can just jump in here, sorry, Rhiannon.
No
just
problem.
jump in here quickly. Something. Do yourself a favor and just go, even if you just go on Twitter alone, and just type in deaf rugby or whatever. You'd be shocked how many countries are actually involved. I'll tell you what. Like I said, my only knowledge of this was literally through Mark Barnard a few years ago, and that was pretty much, I kind of followed him, and that's how I saw what was happening. But never, or even then, never really took notice of it until now, when I'm suddenly in this, in this situation, and then you start seeing things that you never noticed before, and it's scary how big it is actually out there. I mean, there's a World Deaf Rugby. Like World Rugby, there's World Deaf Rugby, and the president of that is a South African as well. So, it's like I said, it's a big task that's ahead of us, but it's something that I'm excited about, and thankfully I know someone there like Rhiannon, and then Mark as well on the other side. And at this stage, I must be honest. I'm playing like the hooker role at the moment. I'm sticking in the middle of those two guys because, as a hearing able person, it's obviously different for me as well. And just this whole organization, learning about it, it's a new thing, which is something new for me. It's not part of your normal everyday life that I've got to get used to. Rhiannon asked me today, for instance, I need to contact someone, and I was like, what do you want me to tell this person? I'm new in this, you got to guide me a little bit, but sooner than later, I'm sure I'll be able to find my feet and like Rhiannon says, once the wheels start going, it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah,
Chiefs,
guys, we're gonna have the games broadcast. Those games against Wales weren't broadcast. We're gonna put these guys on the map. Stones Cup. We're gonna get a broadcast. We're gonna get a broadcast sponsor. I've been in touch with 2 broadcasters, and both are willing to broadcast the games. So this will put the guys on the map. This will make people aware. Like Jacques said earlier, at this stage our mission is awareness, and the rest will follow thereafter. This will play such a huge part in making people aware of these guys. This is literally a branch of SARU. It's like in inverted commas a Springbok team that people don't know about.
Exactly.
It's a gold mine we're sitting on, really, and we're going to make it work for a fact.
Chiefs, boys, I'm telling you, I'm listening to it. I'm getting the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up. I never thought Jacques made me emotional, but I think I'll admit I've got a bit sort of like, let me join, boys. I want to get involved. Rhiannon, other than, I'm not going to ask you the cliche question of what's the end goal, because winning World Cups is always, but let's talk off the pitch. Okay, let's talk. I think you probably just touched on it a fair bit there. What's the end goal, and what's the brief that you've been given for more the development and the promotion of deaf rugby in South Africa?
Andy, the way I see it, but I'm going to give you a 2-legged answer here. Firstly, we need to get money. We need to land a proper sponsor that will help us, enable us. It will enable us to set up the structures, which leads to the second part of my question, actually, now that I think about it. We have a women's team, and we have a sevens team. These people have been neglected, not for years, but for decades. This needs to change. We need to get sevens up and running, and we've got one of the guys on the executive who's been tasked with this. Another guy's going to set up the women's game. We're gonna set them up, and we're gonna arrange for them to play games. We're gonna put them on the map. Whether those will be broadcast, I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. But fact is, we want to give these girls a chance to play rugby. They're there. We have a player base, but nothing has ever been done about it. Now, why not? So this needs to change, and it needs to change now. So that's my brief. My brief is to our brief actually, because it's me and Jacques and the rest. We're all working together as a team. Our brief is to change this thing. We need, although we're amateurs, we need to run it professionally. If you want it to be taken seriously, we need to run this professionally. And to give you one example, we're in the process of ordering clothes for ourselves. A proper shirt, tie, jacket, and trousers. A green and gold jacket. My haters will struggle to get past that, but so be it. We need, if we want to be taken seriously, we need to look the part. So that was my first order of business, is to get that going. So I've been in talks with Total Sports, and they're probably gonna make the clothes for us. That's one small thing. Another thing is to have the games broadcast. There's no use you play rugby. You want to attract a sponsor, but the sponsor is going to get zero mileage out of it. This is 2021, it's not 1970. So we need to handle it like that. And so it's a lot of things. It's actually a whole mosaic of things that needs to come together. But we will get it right. I mean, I've got zero doubt about that. We will get it right. We will get the big picture all fitted into one frame at some stage, and then it's going to go. So yeah, lots of things need to change. Lots of approaches need to change. Lots of things need to come into place. We need to make things happen from nothing. We need to generate something out of nothing. But we're busy with that, and it's already showing.
It's superb, boys. So honestly, I'm close to being speechless. Like what you guys are going to put into this is just insane. Really, it's brilliant. I know you guys obviously to a level personally, and I know your attitude towards rugby generally, and also to things like this. I mean, Reen and Jacques, if you could ever, sort out that we can get a player on here or a couple of players and someone who could potentially sign if that's what we need to do, I think What do you think, G-Man? I think it would be the most
Definitely.
amazing show.
Unbelievable.
Just to see, I think I'd love to know their frustrations from the past.
Share
and
their
how they're
story.
feeling
Wow.
about you two guys coming on board, and potentially, well, you are going to move Deaf Rugby in South Africa forwards light years. I can tell already, but to get a couple of players on and maybe someone who can sign would be, if that's what's needed. I think me and G-Man would absolutely love that. What do you think, G-Man?
Definitely, 100% behind it. It's going to be a great cause. It's an opportunity for these guys to share their story and to also shine. These guys deserve to shine, to show the world what they're made of, show the world what they've been through, to show the world what they're going to go through in a positive way. So I'm 100% behind you there.
No, you guys know what these guys have achieved in the past is nothing short of amazing. There's one guy on the executive, his name is Rugby van Ere. In 1995, the Deaf Springboks went to New Zealand and beat the Deaf All Blacks in New Zealand. This guy was fly off. He doesn't have a Bok blazer. He's received 0 credit. Nothing. This needs to change. I can get Rudy on a show for you. He's culturally deaf, which means he's 100% deaf. He can't hear a thing. So you will sign, we'll have an interpreter. It's very easy. It's really simple. I can get that guy on for you. His story must be amazing. This is a guy who went against all odds to New Zealand and beat them. I mean, it does not get better than that.
No.
No, and like there's so many similar institutions around the world. Like we were very close to being involved with starting a visually impaired South African team here. The Change Foundation, Alex Basson and the guys over there doing amazing work. They were going to bring over, and that again would have potentially put there's no potential about it. It would have put visually impaired rugby on the map and in front of people where it deserves to be. Because if you've ever seen the highlights of these boys playing, it's incredible. Like they're running lines of international players, which is exactly what they are. So, gents, from me, I'm going to let G-Man set us out because I think he's even more passionate than me. But good luck to both of you. I think what you're doing is amazing. I know you're the right people to take it forward. If you ever need to use any of our platforms, you know where we are. That's all I'm going to say to you. G-Man, see us out, bro.
Yeah, phenomenal show. I've really enjoyed it. All the talks for that. But that ending was that made my week, it made my day, it made my month, because it's just something I'm very passionate about myself, just raising awareness for people with disabilities, and the fact that you two are doing that right now and helping these guys to achieve their dreams. I couldn't be more happier to know that, firstly, it's in great hands, and two, I can only wish you two everything but the best. And like Andy says, any form of assistance to get the message out there, to get these guys out there, to get the people out there, we will freaking do it, because it's just it's important. We're all equal at the end of the day. Some of us are just differently abled, so we have the right to show off our talent whether we are disabled or not. So well done to you guys. And what a show. Jeepers, we are in hour 10. I think that's a record, but it's been a phenomenal show. Thanks to everyone for watching tonight. This has been probably one of my best. I've really enjoyed it. And subscribe, hit that like button, share it wide amongst everyone, and also share this message tonight, especially these last 15-20 minutes, because it can change a life, and we're going to see it happen through this channel and through those two gentlemen down there. It's going to be phenomenal. So have a great week further, guys, and all the best. Stay safe and never give up. Cheers.